So, hello everyone. Welcome to CRT College of Engineering Online Education. So, till now, what we seen is first unit. So, it has mainly two components, that is ELD without losses by considering a single plant, and the second one is ELD with losses, that is a group of plants. So, in this, we have seen how power is optimally shared when we are considering a single plant and similarly by considering a group of plants. Now, today we are going to learn a second unit concepts. What is our second unit is, that is nothing but ELD of hydrothermal plants, or otherwise we can say hydrothermal scheduling. So here in the first unit we have considered only one single power plant, that is nothing but thermal power plant. But in the second unit, what we are going to consider is, along with the thermal power plant, we are going to consider one more power plant, that is nothing but hydro power plant. So that's why we are calling this one as hydrothermal scheduling. So this is nothing but our second unit. Your second unit is hydrothermal scheduling. What is the difference between your first unit and second unit is, in the first unit, we dealt with only thermal plants. But now in this, we will consider both the plants, that is nothing but hydro plant at the same time thermal power plant. Okay. Now, so in this class, we will see some of the basic points. So first we will consider, that is introduction to unit 2. That is nothing but introduction to hydrothermal scheduling. And let us consider what are the topics are there in the unit 2. First one is optimal scheduling of hydrothermal system. So what is the meaning of optimal scheduling? So already we have come across what is the meaning of optimal scheduling in the first unit. But the same topic, we are bringing the same concept to the second unit. But the difference is, here we are taking two different power plants. That is nothing but hydro and similarly thermal power plants. In this, we are going to learn how power is shared optimally between hydropower plants and thermal power plants. And the second one is hydroelectric power plant models. So already we have studied different types of power plant models in our PS1 subject. So basically it depends upon the how we can save the water, how we can store the water. So it depends upon that point. We have a reservoir type, similarly pumped storage plant, and similarly runoff plants are there. So in the coming class, we will know what is the difference between different types of power plant models in the coming class. And the third one is scheduling models. So mainly we have two types are there in scheduling. Those are nothing but first one is a long-term scheduling and the second one is short-term scheduling. But for us, we have only a short-term scheduling is there in our actual curriculum. So we will take that one as a short-term modeling. And the last one is problems on above concept. So when you are look at, see, so many people are disturbing the class. Still, a lot of people are coming. So these are nothing but we have 5 topics are there in the second unit. When we are look at these 5 topics, the first one is nothing but the introduction of the optimal scheduling of the hydrothermal systems. And the second one is already we know about how many power plant models are there in hydroelectric plant based upon the storage of water. And third one is also just introduction of the types of scheduling models. And coming to the fourth one and fifth one, here I have highlighted these 2 topics. Those are nothing but fourth one and the fifth one, because they are very, very important. Or we can treat only one topic is there in this unit. Only one topic is there. Literally, I can say only one topic is there. That is nothing but a short-term modeling. So basically, we have 2 types of modelings are there. Those are nothing but a long-term modeling and short-term modeling. But In our actual syllabus, according to our university curriculum, we have only one modeling is there, that is nothing but a short-term modeling. And the next one is the problems based upon the short-term modeling. So that's why we can say in this unit, we have only one topic is there. Actually, that is nothing but a short-term modeling, because your fifth topic is also a part of a fourth topic. So that's why literally I can treat your unit 2 is nothing but only one topic, that is nothing but a short-term modeling. And when you are look the university papers, repeatedly they are asking the question on short-term modeling and problems on short-term modeling for A and B bits. But when you look at some of the papers, directly they are asking 14 marks for problems based on the short-term modeling. So that's why we need to give a lot of importance for short-term modeling, derivation, and similarly the problem based upon the short-term modeling. Here in this fourth topic, we are going to derive one condition that is nothing but a short-term modeling. So based upon this one, we are going to solve some of the problems. So that's why you can treat our fourth one and fifth topics are very, very important. Directly, you can get a 7 marks question. Theoretically, similarly, one more 7 marks question for probability, or otherwise, they're asking directly problem for 14 marks. Directly, they are asking for 14 marks problem. So that's why we need to give a lot of importance for fourth topic and fifth topic. And in this class, let us consider our first topic, that is optimal scheduling of hydrothermal systems. So in this class, let us consider our first topic, that is optimal scheduling of hydrothermal systems. So in this, we must understand the meaning of optimal scheduling of hydrothermal systems, and the most important thing is why it is necessary. Why it is necessary means in the first unit we have taken only a thermal systems, but in this unit why we are taking hydro power plant along with the thermal power plant, that we need to understand, and why it is necessary. What is the necessity to take one more source along with the thermal source? That is very, very important. So before going to understand these 2 points, I will tell you a simple example. You can consider this one as a story also. Try to understand this simple example, then automatically we can implement the same concept to our subject. That example is nothing but, let us consider a simple example for a coordination. And this example can represent the usage of Activa and car by a common man. Let us consider he is nothing but a common man, and he has some sources are there. Those are nothing but, first one is Activa, and the second one is car, and the third one is cycle, and at the last is nothing but walking. So yes, let us assume he has 4 options are there. That is nothing but he may use Activa, and similarly he has 4-wheelers, that is car, and he has a cycle, and at the last is one more option is nothing but walking. But out of these 4, I am considering only a 2-wheeler option and a 4-wheeler option only. That is nothing but Activa and car, because we are not using a bicycle and bone walking nowadays. For going to adjacent streets also, nowadays we are using a vehicle. Of course, that is a different topic. So that's why now let us assume this person has only Activa and car only. So this person has only Activa and car only. Now the most important point in this example is we need to understand that how this person uses these 2 vehicles, 2-wheeler at the same time 4-wheeler. Means on what, in which conditions you will use Activa. Similarly, in what situations you will use 4-wheeler. When you apply our common sense, easily we can understand this example, because this example, whatever the example I am taking, this example is present in our life only. We are observing in our daily life. So on what basis we will coordinate these 2? First one is nothing but flexibility. or we can say convenient purpose. For example, within the cities are heavy traffic places, or for self-work, you will use only two-wheeler. For example, when you are considering for longer distances with family, you will use car. So we cannot use a two-wheeler with family for a longer distances. Similarly, within the cities means generally we have a very huge traffic is there. So in those cities, it's not preferable to use a car. So depends upon our flexibility, depends upon our journey. He may use either Activa or he may use a four-wheeler, a car. So it depends upon his flexibility. Okay, you may pick up Activa or you may pick up a four-wheel rush. That is nothing but first point. Depends upon the flexibility, or we can say depends upon his convenience. You may pick up Activa or you may pick up four-wheeler. That is nothing but first point. And coming to the second point, in terms of economy point, for example, if you use these two in a proper manner, by coordinating these two in a proper manner, we can save a lot of money. For example, if you use car for each and every task, that will lead to heavy budget. So for each and every task, if you use your car, then automatically the consumption of the fuel is more, then automatically it leads to heavy budget. So in order to decrease the budget, what we will do? We have to coordinate two-wheeler along with the four-wheeler. Then it can be treated as economical operation. Means for some of the operations, you need to pick up a two-wheeler. For some of the tasks, you need to pick up four-wheeler. So when you are coordinating these two in a proper manner, then automatically you can save a lot of money. So this is nothing but your second point in terms of economy point. And coming to the last point, that is nothing but alternative source. For example, when you have at present, you have only two sources are there. That is nothing but two-wheeler and four-wheeler. For example, if any repair is comes in one vehicle, then what we will do, automatically we can use one more for completion of the task. So in this, what we can say is we have backup protection. So in technically, what we can say is it is nothing but a backup supply. When you have the backup supply, automatically it leads to a security of the supply. For example, let's consider you have a two-wheeler and four-wheeler. So accidentally a repair is present in the four-wheeler. Then what will you do? It is nothing but emergency case. What will you do? Basically, you will use this Activa. Similarly, repair is there in Activa. What will you do? You may pick up a car. So means you have some alternative sources there when you have Activa at the same time a car. This is nothing but a third point. That is nothing but alternative source. So we have discussed mainly 3 points here. First one is our flexibility, or we can say convenient, and the second one is economy point of view. So we need to minimize our fuel cost, or we have to save our budget. That is nothing but a second point. And the third one is a backup. Backup means here we can say alternative source. Because we have two sources are there, easily we can pick up one more source when something happens to one more source. That is nothing but we can call it as a backup supply. So in this example, after complete, this is nothing but a simple example. After completion of this example, what would be the conclusion? That is very, very important. What would be the conclusion? This is very, very important. Now, I will activate your chat box. Then tell me your conclusion in this one. Yes, I just activated your chat box and tell me your conclusion in this example. Just drop your response in our chat box. So he is a common man. He has two sources. That is nothing but two-wheeler and four-wheeler. So in what situation he has to pick up a two-wheeler? Similarly, in what situation he has to pick up four-wheeler means depends upon the some of the conditions. The first one is depends upon the flexibility. Similarly, a second one is depends upon the economic point of view. And the third one is it depends upon the alternative source. So by considering all these things, he may pick up a two-wheeler or he may pick up a four-wheeler. This is nothing but a story, but tell me your conclusion. From your side, tell me your conclusion in our chat box. Yes, 18 series 221 is saying that depends upon the distance. Yes, already I covered that point. For example, when you want to go for a longer distances with family, definitely he has to pick up a car only. For example, if you want to roaming in the within the cities means generally we have huge traffic is there. So in those places, the car is not preferable. So in those situations, definitely it is better to pick up a two-wheeler only. Okay, then one more response. Please give one more response from this story. And 17 series A4 is giving that depends upon the fuel consumption. Yes, it is also very nice. It depends upon the fuel consumption also. That is nothing but comes under a second point, that is economy point of view. So we need to consider that point also. And 18 series 214 is saying that reliable and low maintenance. That is also very, very good. That means reliability is comes under alternative source and low maintenance is comes under a second point. That is nothing but economy point of view. Means in this example, I have covered three basic points. That is nothing but first one is flexibility or convenient. And the second one is economy point of view. And the third one is alternative source. So other than these 3 points, is there any point is there to pick up either two-wheeler or four-wheeler? Yes, safety is also nice point. Speed is also nice point. Of course, speed is also comes under in these 3 points only. So here, from this example, yes, very good. We need to understand one thing that if you are considering two-wheeler, it has advantages at the same time some disadvantages. Similarly, if you are considering the four-wheeler, it has some advantages and some disadvantages. When you are considering two-wheeler, it doesn't have all the 100% advantages. Similarly, when you're considering the four-wheeler, it has all the 100% advantages. But when we use these two vehicles in a proper manner, try to understand this word. When you use this two-wheeler and four-wheeler in a proper manner, then we will get some advantages, especially in terms of economy and flexibility. When used for all the tasks two-wheeler, then it will not comes under a flexibility. For example, you can't use two-wheeler for family. For example, if your family consisting of 4 to 5 members, it's not possible to use Activa. Similarly, when you use this car within the cities, then it is not preferable. So what we can conclude from this story is every vehicle has its own advantages and disadvantages. But finally, how we can operate these two is in a proper manner. If you are able to operate these two, then automatically whatever the benefits we are going to get by operating these two in a proper manner, definitely we will get those benefits, especially in terms of economy and flexibility. That is very, very important, and that is nothing but our conclusion. So every vehicle has its own advantages and disadvantages, but in order to overcome those drawbacks which are present in the two-wheeler and similarly in the four-wheeler, what we can do is we need to coordinate these two in a proper manner. Means in some of the situations we have to pick up two-wheeler, in some of the situations we have to pick up four-wheeler in a proper manner. Then automatically we will get the benefits, especially in terms of economy point of view and similarly flexibility point of view. This is nothing but the conclusion from this story. Okay, understood everybody? Then we will apply the same concept to our subject. That is nothing but our power system point of view. Try to remember that story. Definitely in this class only, I'm going to apply the same concept to our subject. Now let us consider the simple diagram. It consisting of a generation and the load. When you are considering the generation, we can generate the electric energy by using conventional energy sources and similarly by using non-conventional energy sources. By using these two, we are going to meet our load. So you can use a conventional energy sources or you can use non-conventional energy sources. By using these two, we have to meet our load. So what are the sources comes under conventional energy sources, and similarly, what are the sources comes under non-conventional means? Let us try to look at those sources. So these are nothing but thermal, tidal, nuclear, and gas and diesel. These sources comes under conventional energy sources. And coming to the RES or non-conventional sources, solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, and biomass. These sources comes under RES. RES means renewable energy sources. So these sources comes under RES and these sources are comes under conventional energy sources. Here, the most important point what we have to understand is here we are going to add or we are going to take one more source along with the thermal power plant. So before going to take what source it is going to take means before going to that source, first of all we have to understand why we need to take one more source along with the thermal power plant. So already we are using thermal power plant since so many years. So since so many years we are using thermal power plant. But along with the thermal power plant, why we need to consider a one more source? That source may be taken from tidal, nuclear, gas, and diesel, or that source may be taken from solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, and biomass. But before going to take one more source along with the thermal, first of all, we must understand that why we need to take one more source. That is very, very important. So once we understand why we need to take one more source, then automatically we can pick up one source from the remaining sources. And let us try to understand what are those sources. What are those sources means a need of combo for thermal. Combo is nothing but combination. Okay. So what is the need for taking one more source along with the thermal? The first one is this one. For example, when you are considering outside, the demand is increases day by day. The demand is increases day by day. So from the all sides of sectors, that means from industrial, from agriculture side, from commercial side, from domestic side, when you observe the load demand is increases day by day. But when you are considering only thermal, it is not possible to meet your load. Because just now we have seen that is, we are going to generate this is nothing but installed capacity of the thermal, that is nothing but only 62.22% out of 100%. So we just have only 62.22% of installed capacity when we are having 100% of the total India capacity. So that's why in order to meet our demand, we need to go for one more source. This is nothing but first point. And the second point is due to the high cost of the fuel. For example, when you are considering the thermal power plant, here we will use coal is nothing but a fuel. When we are considering coal, the cost of the coal is nothing but high when compared to the remaining sources. When you are taking a coal, then automatically when the cost is increases, then automatically the operational cost is increases. Means operational cost is increases means the total cost is increases. Already I told you that in the beginning of the first unit, the main objective in the first 3 units. First unit is nothing but ELD of the thermal power plants, and the second unit is nothing but ELD of thermal and hydro combination, and the third one is unit commitment. Our target in the first 3 units is to minimize the cost. So once if you are minimize the generation cost, then automatically we can provide the power for the customers at a cheaper rates. But when you use a thermal power plant at 100% to meet our demand, then automatically the cost of the fuel is more and more. When the cost of the fuel is more and more, then automatically generation cost is also more and more. When the generation cost is more and more, then automatically we can't provide the power for the customers at cheaper rates. So this is a drawback. So that's why we are going to take a combo for thermal. Okay, understanding everybody. This is nothing but a second point. And consider one more point, that is nothing but due to limited range of fuel. For example, when you are considering the sources, this is not a renewable energy sources. Okay, this is nothing but a conventional type of fuel. So in order to conserve our coal, it is better to use our fuel in a limited range for the upcoming generations point of view. So this is your third point. And the most important last point is we need to minimize the pollution. Uh, so for this purpose, we need to go for compo for a thermal power plant. So based upon these 4 points, we need to consider one more source along with the thermal. So what are the points? The first one is when the demand is increases, alone thermal power plant can't meet your limit. That is nothing but our first point. And second one is when you are considering the thermal power plant, here the fuel cost is more and more. And the third one is due to the conservation of the coal, we have to take one more source along with the thermal power plant. And the last most important thing is we need to minimize the pollution. So that's why by considering all these 4 points, we have concluded that it is better to take one more source along with the thermal. So this is nothing but conclusion from this slide. Now here the point is what source we need to take. For example, when you consider this slide, along with the thermal, so many sources are there. Hydro is there, nuclear is there, gas, diesel is there. Similarly, from the RES, we have almost 5 sources are there: solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, and biomass. So, along with the thermal, what source we need to take? Whether we need to take hydro or whether we need to take one more source from the RES. So that we can understand from this slide. So this slide is represent that All India installed capacity for different types of power plants. When you are considering thermal power plant, it constitutes 62.22% of India installed capacity. Similarly, when you are considering nuclear, it is nothing but very less contribution, that is only 1.82%. And when you are considering hydro, it constitutes 12.28%. And when you are considering RES means renewable energy sources, it constitutes only 23.66%. So from this table, what I conclude is it is better to take a thermal and hydro, because when you are considering thermal and hydro, that is 62.22% plus 12.28%, combinedly we will get here 74.5%. 74.5% means when you are considering thermal and hydro, we are covering almost 3/4 of the installed capacity. It is about 75%, means it is nothing but 3/4 of the installed capacity. But immediately you may get one doubt, sir, when you are taking RES, it is giving the 23.66%, definitely it is more than hydro. But why can't we take here RES instead of hydro? So this is nothing but a generalized doubt. But the thing is, RES is not actually a single source. RES is nothing but a combination of the number of sources. Means it may include solar, wind, biomass like this. But when you are considering RES number of sources, when we are taking number of sources, then automatically we will get number of constraints. Means when the number of constraints or number of conditions are increases, then automatically the solving of this problem is becoming complex. But when you are considering hydro, it is nothing but the fuel is nothing but only water. When we are considering only hydro power plant, the constraints is also very, very less. When the constraints are less, then automatically it is easier to solve this problem, economical load dispatch. So that's why it is better to take thermal at the same time hydro. But the most important point from this table is why we are not considering RES means RES is not a single source. It is nothing a group of sources. When we are taking group of sources, then automatically constraints are also vary more and more practically. When we are taking more and more constraints, then automatically for solving this type of problem, the complexity is also increases. So that's why instead of taking RES, it is better to take hydropower plant along with the thermal power plant. For solving, it is becoming very so flexible, and similarly, when you add these two, we are covering almost 3/4 of the total India installed capacity. That is nothing but 75%. So that's why instead of RES, it is better to take hydropower plant along with the thermal power plant. Understood, everybody? So that's why it's the time for a thermal and hydro combination. So from this time, from the moment it onwards, we are going to study about the combination of a thermal power plant and a hydro power plant. So before going to know about the study of the in detail study of a thermal and hydro power plant, first we need to understand the comparison between a thermal and hydro, because just go to your previous example and remember Activa and four-wheeler. Activa has some advantages and disadvantages. Similarly, four-wheeler also some advantages and disadvantages. But combinedly, when we will get the benefit is when you use those two in a proper manner, then only we will get the benefit. Similarly, here also same thing. Thermal power plants has some advantages. Similarly, it has some disadvantages. And coming to the hydro power plant, it has some advantages. Similarly, it has some disadvantages. But when you are join these two as a combo, then we will get the output in a positive manner is we need to operate these two in a proper manner. So how we can operate these two in a proper manner? Before going to operate these two in a proper manner, we must understand what are the positives and negatives in thermal power plant. Similarly, what are the positives and negatives in a hydro power plant? So that is nothing but the comparison between thermal and hydro. For example, when you are considering thermal, fixed cost is less. Similarly, running cost is more. Running cost is nothing but operational cost. Okay, and fixed cost is nothing but whatever the cost which we are going to use for set up the thermal power plant. And running cost is nothing but mainly for the fuel cost. So already I told you that your fuel cost is more and more when we use the thermal power plant. And similarly, it is nothing but a slow response. So why it is giving slow response means when you are considering thermal power plant, so many units are there in thermal power plant, especially boilers, superheaters, and turbines. When you use these boilers and superheaters, this unit will take a lot of time. It is nothing but several hours to take the load. So that's why we can say it is nothing but slow response. So generally, thermal power plant is used for base load. And these points are present in the thermal. And coming to the hydro, these points are present in the hydro. First one is nothing but fixed cost is more. Because why fixed cost is more when compared to thermal means, you know, to have hydro generation, we need to construct a dam or reservoir, and similarly we need to relocate the people. So for that we need to spend a lot of budget. So that's why together the fixed cost is more. Similarly, running cost is less, or otherwise we can say running cost is almost negligible, because here the fuel is nothing but water only. So for water, it is nothing but we can spend very less cost, or we can say running cost is negligible. And coming to the next one, it gives a fast response, means within a short time, we can allocate the load to your hydro power plants. Okay, because in this one, we don't use any superheaters like that. And one more last important point is we can use hydro power plant for peak load or base load, depends upon the what type of hydro power plant we are using. Already I told you that depends upon the storage of the water. We have a different power plants are there. That is nothing but reservoir type, pumped storage type, and similarly runoff power plant. So it depends upon the type of water storage. We can use hydro power plant for peak load purpose, or we can use the same hydro power plant for base load plant. And we are going to cover, or we are going to learn the same topics in the coming class. Now, here we need to understand, and before you, the features of the thermal power plant is there, and similarly features of the hydro power plant is there. Just try to compare this thermal power plant and similarly hydro power plant. Just like your two-wheeler and four-wheeler. So when you are considering thermal power plant, here fixed cost is less. It is an advantage. Similarly, running cost is more. It is nothing but drawback. Slow response. Is also a drawback. For example, when you are considering hydro, fixed cost is more. Means it is a drawback. When you are considering running cost is very, very less, or we can say negligible. This is nothing a positive point which is present in your hydro. Means what we can understand from this one is thermal power plant has its advantages and similarly disadvantages. Similarly, hydro power plant is also has some advantages and disadvantages. But as a group, as a combo, in what situations we can get benefit from these two is we need to operate these two in a proper manner. Okay, so then automatically we can get the benefit from this combo. The conclusion from this today lesson is, for example, total load is there. How can we differentiate your total load, or how can we divide your total load is basically two types. That is nothing but base load and peak load. Base load and peak load. Base, already we know what is the difference between base load and peak load. Base load is nothing but it is always present on the system. And peak load is nothing but it is changes with respect to the time. It is nothing but fluctuating load. But here we have thermal power plants are there. Similarly, hydel power plants are there. How we can use those two depends upon your base load and peak load. That is very, very important. For example, when you use thermal power plant and similarly runoff power plants for meet your base load. Similarly, if you use proper coordination between thermal power plant and the hydel power plant in order to meet your peak load, this is nothing but the usage of thermal and hydro power plant in a proper manner. When you use these two like this, then automatically we can get economical as well as a convenient process. This is nothing but what we can finally when use these two in a proper manner. So this is nothing but the conclusion of the first section. The thing is, every power plant has its some advantages and disadvantages. So depends upon those points, we need to operate those two power plants. It may be hydro or it may be thermal in a proper manner. Then automatically we can overcome those drawbacks. So when you use a thermal and a runoff plants for meeting of your base load, similarly in order to meet your peak load, when you use a proper coordination between the thermal and hydro, definitely whatever the benefits are there, we will get those benefits, especially in terms of economical point of view, at the same time flexibility point of view, or we can say convenient. Okay, so this is nothing but the first session of your second unit, introduction of your first unit. So with this, I will wind up your first session now. Okay, thank you very much.